Hey, welcome back to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. We're going to get into it with an awesome creator today. Before we do that, though, you guys know the rundown, man. We're trying to grow this channel. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, hell, tell everybody. Subscribe, do the notifications, leave a comment, like the show. All these things help the algorithm and help us get seen and bring attention to all these awesome creators that I just enjoy interviewing so much and bringing attention to their projects. Um, Without further ado, we got the Night of the Chihuahuas creator. He'll be coming back to Kickstarter in January with an awesome project. He'll be carrying on with the Night of the Chihuahua series. And he's here to tell us all about that. So I'm going to shut the hell up and I'm going to bring in the incredible Nate Price to tell us all about his project. And without further ado, let me just bring Nate in to tell you all about it.
What's going on?
What's happening, Nate? It's good to have you on. A pleasure to meet you, sir. Let's just dive right off into this thing head first, man. Tell us all about the beginnings of Now the Chihuahuas and kind of what inspired you for this awesome project. And kind of lead us into where you're going with it.
So I'll give you the long version, which was kind of interesting. It's a horror comedy about killer chihuahuas invading a small town. The project was written by David Kiddos Jr. David went to school for film, and this was his senior project, which he made into a movie. So Night of the Chihuahuas is actually a movie.
Oh, wow.
It's made with $1,000 and 3 chihuahuas. The production quality wasn't the best because, with those kind of constraints, it's very hard. I wrote movie reviews in 2007 for a publication, and I met David by reviewing a couple of his films, and one of them was Night of the Chihuahuas. So when I watched it, it had a lot of heart, and I loved it. So I gave it a good review. David and I had become friends. I was in the film industry at the time, and I produced his movie called Promise. And we went on to do a couple other things. And when we got done with those things, we talked about Night of the Chihuahuas and how much fun it would be to actually make a comic book about killer chihuahuas because you have so much more free reign. So in 2011, we started a Kickstarter and to make a graphic novel for $21,000. And Kickstarter was much different than it is now.
Right.
And we failed horribly. But we had made 30 pages. And in 2021, we decided to try to pick it back up. And we're just about to finish. We have about 5 pages left to finish issue 5. And the 5-story arc, or the 5-issue arc, will be done for the first set of stories, and there's another set of stories if we do well.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Kind of take us through your journey into comics. Where did that start? Did that start as a child, or like it is with most folks, or?
Yeah, in the 1990s, Image was real big, and I was joining the military. My best friends from high school, we would get together and hang out and read Image. So my favorite comic was Pitt, if you remember Pitt.
Oh yeah. Del Keown.
Yep. And and then I met another guy when I was joining, and he was super big into comics, and so it just kind of stuck. And I'm not too good. I don't remember storylines and what number this happened to this guy and all that stuff. I just enjoyed it as a medium. So it's been challenging to I always had like, like, oh, this could be done this way in terms of like film.
Right.
I was in film for a long time, and then I'm writing my own project right now called Killer Hair, which is about
Okay.
a woman whose hair gets possessed and
Oh,
starts
wow.
killing people. So it's kind of silly, another horror comedy, but trying to understand and learn the process of like how to take a movie script, break it down into panels, and then create a book. So Max, thank you, Max. Max Flowers is he's helping me out with that.
Well, that's awesome. You mentioned film, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, and I honestly, comics and film go hand in hand to me because they're both. I mean, yeah, you've got story, you've got dialogue, but they're both visual mediums. I mean, you can do a lot more if you know how to manipulate the panel in comics. But I mean, it's just wide open. I mean, it really is.
Yeah,
In comics, you don't have budget restraints. Whatever you can imagine, you can bring the reader on that journey in comics. And part of my process, I kind of look at it. I don't. I'm a visual guy, and I do my thumbnails are in my head, and I kind of look at it as a movie when I'm kind of going through the process. I'm looking like the director. I'm thinking of camera angles when
yeah,
I'm wanting to do these panels. You know, and going back to film, you obviously have a huge love for it. What's some of your favorite movies? Your top three all time? Which I know that's hard because it changes for everybody.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World is probably number one.
That's a good one.
I just thought of this last night too. That's hilarious. Um, I like Kingsman, and I like the day after. Is it the day after? No, not no. Live Die Repeat with Tom Cruise. I forget there
Oh
was a
God, yeah, yeah. Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise. That's an awesome flick.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love the concept of it. I
yeah,
mean, it's been done. I mean, Groundhog Day, etc.
yeah,
But kind of being able to save the world by getting it right one time, and that's really that had never been really done in sci-fi, and I really enjoyed that movie. That's
yeah.
probably in my top 10.
There was one other one I was just thinking of yesterday, but I like comedy, I like action, but I like things that are clever, that are
Right,
executed well. There's so many. There's a saying that like there's nothing new under the sun. If you can take something old and kind of make it new and fresh, like how do you do that? Like Killer Hair, I say, is Venom meets Rapunzel. Um,
okay,
um, it trying to. I mean, there's other things that I've done with symbiotes and stuff, but I think everyone can relate. When you get a hair in your mouth, it's kind of gross. So if you touch
yeah,
that with everyone, and then they can kind of go, oh yeah, and then you can say, well, what if imagine if that hair came to life and it wanted to
right,
kill you? So
exactly.
we or I try to and this is what I want to do. Our publishing company is called Pork Chop Express. I don't know if you get the reference.
Oh yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, I'm a Jack Bird man, man.
So we want to make things that are fun, kind of clever, off the beaten path. That's kind of our goal. So we're just starting out, but I've got time and resources, so I want to make cool stuff and hang out with cool creators and learn. I mean, I yeah, coming from film, it's for me the stress of it was too much. You're working with so many people and egos
Right,
and timelines. With comics, I can sit down at my desk and I can imagine and write, and then talk to someone. How does this break down in your head? And then
right.
um, and yeah, so hopefully we just keep getting better.
I got you. Now you brought up Big Trouble in Little China. That movie, my God, that movie never gets old to me. I mean, there's so many little things in that movie that just elevated it. And that brings me to my next question. I've been hearing rumors the last couple of years about a remake. Personally, I honestly think that's one of those movies that doesn't need to be touched. It's a perfect film to me.
Yeah.
And I give me two movies for you that you would say are perfect, that they never need to be touched up or rebooted or anything like that.
First one that comes to mind is Napoleon Dynamite for some reason.
Yeah.
I've thought of, see, this is where my mind goes. I thought of, because I think a remake can be done if it's done right. I always thought it would be hilarious if they remade or did a sequel to Napoleon Dynamite, but him and his wife are grown, and then it shows them trying to raise kids because they're so awkward. I thought it'd be great.
That would be a good angle to it for sure.
But I can't. I don't know. Yeah, I always imagine remakes, but I think of the fun that could be had. What was the one The Rock was in? And it was a younger role of his. He went into the jungle with Sean.
Oh, The Rundown.
The Rundown.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one to remake. I mean, you told me to don't remake, but the scene with the monkey was so funny. It was. Put him in another scene with another animal. Like, I thought if he went to China and he was trying to give the Heimlich to a panda, that would be kind of. But I don't know, Napoleon. Yeah, and I think wasn't The Rock trying to remake Big
Trouble in Little China? Yeah, he was kind of headlining that, trying to push that through. And then with everything that's went on with him and DC and oh God, Black Adam, that kind of, he lost a little bit of his clout there, and I don't think a lot of that was The Rock's fault. I mean, personally, DC films, the DCU, whatever it is this week, has been in trouble for a while. So I don't put that on him. I mean, how well that movie honestly did, I kind of attribute to him. And he's one of the last few remaining real movie stars, action stars. I mean, we just don't really have those anymore. It's more tent poles or Marvel, DC, Disney, Star Wars. I mean, tent poles have become the thing, and stars are just secondary now. It's window dressing.
Yeah. I thought of one more movie no sequel should be made for is Holes.
Yep. That's another good one. Yep. That's a perfect movie.
Yep.
Yeah. That was one of Shia LaBeouf's first movies, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's interesting. I was just watching I like to watch a lot of different podcasts, and John Berthal does one, the real ones, and he had Shia on there interviewing him. It's amazing what that man put himself through. Here, basically, he's been in the spotlight his whole life. I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah.
People, they say, "Oh, I want to be rich and famous," but you don't really think about all these people really do go through. They have no privacy whatsoever. They're constantly under scrutiny, under the spotlight. One little mistake, one wrong thing said, and I mean, everybody knows about it. I don't know if I'd want that. I mean, honestly.
That's tough. Yeah, I mean, you want to be recognized for your work, right? But I mean, you have your books, your projects, right? Imagine if one of them took off and you became a Hollywood writer, which is like lower down on the thing, but people like, oh, Jerry Cooley, like, you'd probably
Yeah.
feel good, right? At the same time, it'd be like, somebody from high school would pop up and be like, hey, you remember me? Like,
Yeah.
they won't leave you
You get
alone
a
or
lot of friends real quick. And like, oh yeah, I'm your second cousin removed, twice removed. I was
Yep.
married to your first whatever, You know how it goes.
Yep.
But yeah, I was sitting here. I hardly ever go over questions, but I did have one.
Yeah.
Um, how do you balance your projects in life, say family, job, etc.? Do you ever find it's kind of tough to it's a constant balancing act. How do you deal with that?
I think one of the biggest blessings in the whole mix is that my wife she's a freelance graphic designer.
Okay,
So we were able to work together, and we can kind of swap responsibilities. We have two boys, 9 and 12, and if I need to go pick them up because she's on a call, or I'm on a podcast or whatever, um, she knows like all of the print process for setting up the books, ordering the books. So it really works out well. Trying to balance always was a problem, and I mentioned to you kind of offline. I'm a disabled vet, so I have time, and for the creators out there that are working and creating, hats off to all of you, because it's I take it as a full-time job. I mean,
right,
we're trying to run it like a full-on business. We do taxes, we file copyrights, we all the behind the scenes things. So I write, I do some of the art direction, as far as covers go. Like, we've got, just show a couple of our covers. That's
oh
supposed to be,
wow,
what homage is that?
oh, I'm trying to place that one. That Night of the Living Dead, maybe. No.
No, Shining.
Oh yeah, well it's Johnny. Yep,
Yeah, we got,
of
and
course Jaws. Yeah,
I
I
can
love that one.
I can tell you why we did a ton of homages, but
Oh wow,
that's Chisilla,
yeah,
and then this is issue 4. If you've seen The Last of Us,
yeah, yeah.
the clickers, but
Oh wow,
I work with the artists, and I mean, I need to take breaks and stuff, but I just try to feel out when my kids, need my help, and sometimes I just try to turn stuff off and go spend time with them, because it's
right.
I don't know, we can all get lost in our own little worlds of they play Fortnite and stuff like that. So it's, after this podcast, I think I live in Phoenix, Arizona. We're talking about going for a ride. My wife starts her new school program on Monday. So yeah, just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that really answers your question, but um, I think that, and having a mentor really keeps me accountable and focused on what I need to do, because I can sometimes get busy doing a lot of um, unimportant stuff.
Yeah,
And her thing is, you start with yourself, and then your close family, friends and extended family, and then business. So it's always, you're always trying to stay here. Um, take care of your health. If you're not taking care of your health, then all these things will be affected outward. So um, yeah, does that answer your question?
yeah, yeah. And you mentioned we were talking about that before we started, and I want to say exactly what I said then, Nate. I really appreciate your service, sir.
Thank you.
I do. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you know, the world we live in nowadays, it's really an odd place. Our kids, they have no idea of the changes that have taken place. And, I'm not getting political. I'm just talking. Our world has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Just say in the last, let's say 20 years. I mean, hell, it's changed in the last 10, but you look over the last 20, it's a totally different place. And it's, I've mentioned this a few times. It's a shame the world we live in. You know, I hate the way things are. It's our country's more divided than it's ever been. And at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And we owe our freedoms and stuff to people just like you that had the courage to serve and defend these liberties. You know, because I mean, yeah, we're making independent comics. You can't do that just anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some countries you go to, you have to go if you want to do something like this. You got to propose it before your government, and they have to give you permission to do stuff like this. And because of your actions and other people's actions that had the courage to fight for these liberties that we have now, you know. So thank you. I went all the way around the world to just kind of,
It's
you
good.
know. But yeah, it's an odd place we live in nowadays. People, they're so divided. I mean, it's like Yankees and Red Sox fans back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like you know if you don't like a certain thing, I hate them. Well, they're people too. No, it don't matter. They're Yankees fans. They're Red Sox fans. That's what it's become. I
Yeah.
mean, we can't just sit down and have conversations anymore.
Yeah.
And everybody's got their feelings on their sleeves. Everybody's so fucking sensitive nowadays. I mean, we used to be able. I don't know. I'm rambling, so I'm gonna shut up on that.
How old are you?
I'll be 46 next month.
Okay. All right. I'm 47.
Yeah,
I,
so we're from the same. We're
yeah,
cut from the same cloth. Yeah,
yeah. I asked Mark, and he said you and Dan Price might have me beat in age. So
yeah. Dan, I'm pretty sure Dan's got us both beat.
okay.
Yeah, he don't want to put that out there, but yeah, which he's aged well. Dan's
Yeah.
like a fine wine.
Yep.
I think. Let's say I think Brandon's might have us all beat.
Oh,
Believe it or
really?
not. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that. We didn't really touch on his age when I had him on the show, but I'm pretty sure Dan told me that Brandon is older than him.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, we're the young bucks.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
the-
Got a couple years of experience over the young ones.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
one thing I was thinking about, and I'm not like I've made it, but just all the kind of crappy experiences I've had when I was younger. I'm at a place now where I can take those and navigate a little bit better. Doing comics, they thought it was going to be like, hey, everybody, let's get together and draw some cool stuff, and we'll put the
Yeah.
book on, and it's not like that at all.
No, it's
we,
really not. I
we had
mean, go
he
ahead.
we had a guy that was 6 weeks late with his artwork, and he was just playing it off like it was no big deal. And like we fired him, and then he threw a fit, and I'm like, dude, you're 6 weeks late. Like, we would ask him, oh, I'll have it in tomorrow. Oh, and
Yeah.
I personally was getting very, very frustrated. We missed a big con releasing the book because of him, and we had to have everything in writing, and he didn't want to sign it, and that's not what this kind of industry is. And I was like, anything you do, you should get in writing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I tell you that, I was talking with somebody the other day, and this is what I've always wanted to do. This was always the dream, to make comics.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get here, and I'm not here by any stretch of the imagination. I don't see myself, even though I do create comics, I still don't see myself as a creator of comics. And it's I don't know if I could have done this right out of high school. I mean, I don't know if I had the right mindset. I think I would have burned out and possibly never looked at another comic. I think it was basically, honestly, the way it all happened was perfect time.
Good.
You ever feel that way? Was that,
I mean, I've lived a very colorful life. um, it does, in retrospect, it all seems like perfect timing, but when you're in the thick of it, sometimes you're like, why is this happening to me?
right?
I wrote a movie with 3 other people, and we made it. It was super cool. People were handing me checks. I wasn't asking for it. They were handing me money,
Oh,
thousands of dollars at a time. And we made this movie, and then the director tried to copyright everything into his name, kind of secretly, and we got word of it, and hired a lawyer. We expedited all these things. It cost way too much money, and we got to like, I can file an injunction on him if he releases the movie. It just seems so unnecessary. The guy
right.
got me. um, at the time, it broke me. Like, I mean, I was just devastated. I'm like, why is this guy doing it? We finished the movie. We made the entire movie.
Wow.
um, and it, to this day, it just stands as bad blood. And looking back, it taught me a lot. When people say, like, oh, don't worry about it, nothing will ever happen, you can trust me. I'm like,
Yeah.
sorry, I want everything in writing, and I want it to be clear and detailed. And um, it's no offense toward anybody, but it gives me peace of mind because I make mistakes. If I
Right.
misunderstood something between when we had this conversation, but it's in writing, I'm like, oh, well, that's what it says. I made a mistake. What can I do? That, I think that's, I don't know. Maybe there are no mistakes and it's just learning opportunities. So I don't
No,
know.
people make mistakes. I make them every day. I mean, mistakes are made, but like you said, you learn from that mistake. You got burnt pretty hard, and you learn from that.
Yeah.
And that's what we all have to do. I mean, I learn every day fooling with comics. Different things. I've only been doing digital work for a couple of years. It was all traditional before then, and man, every time I sit down to my tablet and I say I'm working on colors or something like that, I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows it all, you better stay away from them. Because
Yeah.
they have no fucking clue whatsoever.
Yeah. I have another mentor, and we grew up doing graffiti together, and he does large scale murals now.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
he did one for the Oakland Athletics, which is a baseball team.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
90 foot high by 90 foot wide.
Wow.
Um, and we're trying to close a deal right now. I say we because I'm part of what he does for the El Paso Chihuahuas, which is a minor league baseball team. And it's a 15-story high building, and we'd be doing the side of the building. But we're trying to cross promote with the Night of the Chihuahuas and the El Paso Chihuahuas. So
Hell yeah, that's really cool.
it sounds cool until the check clears. It's really nothing. But he's in the mindset, and he's an amazing artist. He did the Jaws cover. He did another one, which is it says bite. It looks like a street art kind of thing. But
Yeah,
he's in the mindset of mastery, where he's like, I can always be better. And he kind of pushes me to, like, find ways to. Uh, he taught me when I did video editing for movies. He said, do 80% of your best work 100% of the time. And I would spend so much time trying to like fix this and that. And he's
Right.
like, people aren't going to notice those little things, like get it done. And then the next project, you'll be a little bit better. And over time, you'll get to where you're 100%.
That's
So
good
it's,
advice. Good
yeah.
advice.
So it's
One
just like
thing,
mastery.
yeah, one thing that really, and I brought this up a few times on a few different podcasts. One thing that really stuck out to me, and I learned a lot from in comics in general, you you can be too much of a perfectionist. I mean, Mike Mignola, Hellboy creator, he spent over 2 years finishing one book. And
Wow.
yeah, I watched the interview with him, and he really took a look back at himself because he was so focused on getting it just right. But what is just right? You know, what's perfect to me might not be perfect to you. I mean, so what is perfection? And he realized real quick, hey, it's all about speed in this business, and people don't want to wait 2 and 3 years for the next story. He said, I gotta get my shit together. So now perfect is what he's got on the page.
Yeah.
And you can't be so married to it that you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Do the work, go to the next page, do that page, and so on and so forth. Let it go. You know,
Yep.
perfect is good enough,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
good enough is perfect. However you want to look at it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, it's like Killer Hair. The artist that I'm working with, her name is Sophia Cox, and her line art is amazing. And there's an artist named Jeff Darrow. I don't know if you've heard of him.
that doesn't ring a bell, but
He did a lot of concept work for The Matrix.
oh
And
wow,
his line art is crazy, like detailed. And the styles that we've done for Night of the Chihuahuas, we actually had 3 different artists in Night of the Chihuahuas. The first guy had to leave because we didn't have enough money. The second guy was kind of a scheduling concern. And then we finished off with Eric Ruiz, who's almost in kind of a manga style, which is kind of
yeah,
interesting. But it works with the shift of tone throughout the book. But Sophia, her style is much different, and she said, I can start shading and cross hatching. And I'm actually taking a class from an artist named Jay Photos through the local college because I want to learn.
right.
And he saw it. He's like, this is amazing. This looks like Jeff Darrow. Don't do any shading, just do flats to it. And you can look it up later. His name is Geof, Jeff Darrow. But yeah, it's so much different, and I'm trying to like learn working with artists to like not be super critical, not like, you missed this, I don't like this, I don't like this, but like,
Right.
here you go, your style is different. Let's take it and run with it. Because it's yeah, I mean I don't know, I guess that's on the side of a publisher, is like, you're gonna have different looks with different artists. And we did so many homages. Part of the idea with the homages was to create something that people would instantly recognize and pick up and
Right.
laugh.
Right.
So with the Killer Hair books, we're not gonna do homages. We're gonna do original concepts for the covers, and really aim to get people to not buy it just because of that. I've seen people post like too many homages, too many homages. But I mean, I think with Chihuahuas it works because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really cool. It
Yeah,
is. I love the Jaws one. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Okay. See if I can sneak one out to you.
Oh, you ain't got to do that, but I do. I love that cover. That's
Yeah.
that, that's awesome. Actually, that's the one I have picked out for the thumbnail for this show. Is
Okay.
the
Nice.
is the yeah him coming up as Jaws? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just trying to get to learn to work with different artists. And I forget, I was trying to reference something you were saying, but um, getting to work digitally, and it's just kind of been a process because it's with Killer Hair. I didn't have a specific style in mind. It's just like I want it to be consistent and good. I don't know. Can I show you through the? Can I show you through the camera?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, of course.
I'm not the most technical guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly how to share the screen. Hey,
Well,
we're lucky we can get this show made with
here's
my expertise. Oh wow.
here's the cover.
Yeah,
And this
that's
is just
beautiful.
this is a work in progress. This is by a woman named Myra Hernandez.
Yeah.
And then and this is Sophia Cox. This is her line art.
Oh
Ink,
wow.
so it doesn't look like it's coming out very good. It's kind of washing out.
Yeah, glare. Yeah. Turn it away from the light just a little bit. And that no, that didn't do it either. I don't. No, the phone itself, the backlight of the phone is washing it out now.
Oh, the backlight.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, I can see a lot more detail there now. Yeah. Shoot, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
got nice lines for sure.
Yeah. So, and that's my kind of the art mentor guy. He said, give yourself like 5 years and find a group of people that you're comfortable working with.
Right.
It's going to take time. You're going to bump heads, and it's definitely been some of that. But yeah, I'm happy and lucky to be connecting with the LKC gang, and so far everybody's pretty cool.
How did that happen? How did you meet Mark at a con or?
I was on Instagram and Mark was on a podcast called B Minus TV.
Okay.
And I'm kind of a hustler, I guess, and I've been trying to figure this stuff out on my own. So I had contacted the guy from B Minus TV, and he said he would get us on. But I just happened to see Mark one day, and Mark was talking, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to get a hold of me, email me. So I emailed him, and we've had several subsequent conversations. And he, yeah, it still seems I have too good to be true syndrome.
Right.
But as I go further on, I understand how it works, and I'm looking forward. I want to support the community. We're in 48 different stores right now.
Oh wow. Congrats on that.
Thank you. It's been a lot of walking in, showing our books, talking. And I mean, 40, I think there's 2,000 stores in the US. So 48 is not a big dent, but, having that kind of spirit, and then, maybe pitching LKC. We do a lot of cons. I think we've done 30 this year.
Wow.
From big to small. But I'm hoping, I know we have some meetings coming up, and I'm hoping to help that kind of progress for everyone. So I hope to
I'd
bring.
love to have some conversations with you on the con stuff for sure. Because I mean, I have yet to do a con on the other side of the aisle, and I'm hoping to make Fan Expo in New Orleans in January.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be my first one. I'm still waiting on word back on that, but we'll see. But I'd love to have some conversations and kind of pick your brain about that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are the biggest money makers, are the cons. And they are a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun too. when you're
Oh,
trying to track people's eyes all day and like, hey,
right.
hey. You
Yeah.
have like
You
2
catch a
seconds
glance,
to,
it's like, hey, I seen you make eye contact. Get your
yeah.
ass over here. Yeah.
That's what we say because we're just Night of the Chihuahuas. The booth is just Night of the Chihuahuas right now. So we'll say, got a horror comedy about killer Chihuahuas, and you'll either get a response or you won't. And a lot of people will respond some way. They'll laugh or they'll scoff, but you know that they heard you. And a lot of the people that laugh, they'll turn and stop and be like, "What? What is this about?"
Check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because people will see all the books, but there's so much stuff in there they won't realize that it's a comic book.
Right.
And then they'll stop and like, oh, this is a comic book, and then they'll pick it up like, oh, like little ding.
It's such a unique concept. I mean, it really is. So is the other one, with the killer hair. I mean, that's
What
just
is it?
it's out there, but it's so out there. It's cool. I
What
mean,
does it?
you want to know more.
Was it? John Carpenter did Pork or not Big Trouble in Little China, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna like elevate us and say we're like John Carpenter, but the idea is he what he does was unique and different and appealing, and like,
Right.
how can we make projects that are like Myra, the one who did the cover? She's in art school. I would love to meet the LKC gang, but she's coming into her 30s. She's an amazing artist. She wrote a story about a punk rock guy who falls in love with the perfect girl, but it turns out she was actually part of a government experiment and she's part cockroach.
Wow. Okay.
But it's those kind of things that stick out to my head, like, how can you take something that's been done and like flip it on its head and make it something
Right.
fresh. So I really hope to I have I have so many dumb ideas in my head about movies. What if what if Thor's hammer came to Earth by itself and an 8-year-old girl found it and she was worthy?
I
Like,
love it.
let me think. We had a woman do promotion for us, and she looks like Margot Robbie. She's a celebrity lookalike, like almost dead on. And
Wow.
she's telling me about some of these things that she goes through because she looks like Margot Robbie. And I was like, how fun would it be to do a story? And this might be hard to pull off in a comic book, but like do a story about celebrity lookalikes, the lives of celebrity lookalikes, and maybe she gets kidnapped or something. And she's like, I'm not Margot Robbie.
I think it's wide open. We talked earlier. That's the one thing that's so awesome about comics. People for a long time, people tried to put it in a box, and a lot of different creators through the years kind of showed, there is no box. It's wide open. And that's the one thing I love about indie, all the different stories and just completely new stuff, and it continues to grow.
Like, have you heard of Distillery?
Yes. Yes, I
Have you read
have.
this one?
I haven't read it yet.
It's an anthology. It's so good.
I love a majority of the creators that started. I'm really big fans of the.
This is Accidental Aliens by Andy Duclef. Duclef, I think. Mark hooked me up with her. She's a great creator. She's out at San Diego.
Okay.
But
That's awesome.
I agree, because it's like it seemed like everything was funneled into superheroes for so long, and it just got so boring. And it's like you can explore all kinds of crazy places. Like Hack Slash is a cool title.
Oh, I love that title. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not even that big of a comic book buff. I've just more recently tried to. I was like manic for the first year of Night of the Chihuahuas. I wanted it to work so bad.
Right.
And like my grandfather passed away, And then my grandmother just recently passed away, and it's like I tried to like come back to that center, that focus of like myself and my family.
Right.
And I'm getting back into reading again and like really enjoying it. And it's been really cool because it's for a year I was like a machine. Somebody told me that we weren't going to make it, that we were going to fail, and I was
Yeah.
like what?
Exactly. That they don't realize they're just pouring gas on the fire when they do that. You
Yep.
know, 99% of the time, if you're worth any kind of salt whatsoever, somebody tells you that, hey, motherfucker, let me show you something. Yeah.
Yep. So that's yeah, I've got a treasure trove of stories, and I'm hoping to, maybe if I work in with LKC people more, people want to work with me on the artwork because I'm not that great of an artist. And yeah, I don't, I, I want to, I don't know if this is too personal, but to me, it's not about making money. The money part comes into the keeping the business alive. I'm not,
Right.
my benefits are taken care of. So it's like, what can I do to create a business and put money into making these things? Because one of the biggest things I saw is like, say Jerry makes the best waffles in, the United States,
Yeah.
but no one knows about it. So how are you going to get the word out? And that's marketing.
Right.
And I've spent money on marketing. I've thought of, painting a 15-story building. We're going to use all of that stuff as marketing.
Right. Right.
We're getting paid for it, of course, but then everybody knows, wow, Jerry's got amazing waffles, and then the waffles sell. So it's like,
Exactly.
how can we, even this goes to LKC, how can we get the word out and market it so people want to pick up an LKC book?
Right. And I
Because it's,
think Mark, to his credit, I think and all the creators that have been there this whole time, I mean, he's he's built a brand.
yeah,
LKC is becoming more and more recognizable as we speak. But
yeah,
I mean, it's the name is getting out there, and it's it's one of those things. It's kind of like Image back in the day. It's catching everybody by surprise. Because LKC encompasses so many different titles and so many different genres and creators. I mean, it's just wide open. You know.
I think the thing for me is trying to get into stores and have conversations. Because I started already, and it's kind of awkward because I don't know what I'm saying. But can we get books into your store, and how do we go about doing that in a productive way? Because I don't want to walk in there and like vomit LKC books everywhere. I want to go in there kind of strategically and like get my foot in
Right.
the door, and
Exactly.
because that's a whole nother game. If we can get into a bunch of stores like that, I know we can. There's a start for it.
Oh yeah.
I should shut up. I don't want to say too much. I'm
I
going to throw
got you.
myself into the bus. I have a really good feeling. I'm pretty close with several shop owners, and I talked to one of them yesterday, and he's open to furthering the conversation. So
That's awesome.
that's how it happens, is one at a time. So at least for me.
Right. Oh yeah, that's anybody, man. That's how anything is made. I mean, hell, Henry Ford back in the day, he had to get that first vehicle off the line, before he could, and he had to talk that guy, that first person that bought it, into trying it out. You
Yeah.
know, so you go back it's always been one at a time.
Yep.
That's all you can do. You know. And we're fortunate enough through LKC, there's enough of us backing each other up, so you're not on an island anymore. That's the
Yeah.
one thing that I love about it. You've got somebody, when you kind of fall down, so to speak, maybe not technically fall down, but you might not be in the best place, and they come along and pick you up, say, "Hey, man, been there. we're going to make it through this. We're going to get this thing out there, and just Cadillac pimp after that, and it's crazy. It
Yeah,
really is.
just like Reese. Reese, if you're watching, you're gonna make it. You're almost
Oh
there.
God, yeah. He's worried about it. Man, Reese has got this shit.
Yep.
We're gonna make sure he gets this shit.
Yep.
I mean, period. And I hate to cut it off right there, but I think that's a perfect ending right there. So we're gonna call that a show. Nate, plug everything you got, man. Where can they follow you? You talked about your projects. Where can we get to that? Do we have a website to go to?
So on Instagram and on Instagram and Facebook, we're at Night of the Chihuahuas, CHIHUAHUAS. We have nightofthechihuahuas.com, which has all our books, some t-shirts, a little bit of history, talks about all the stores we're in. You can find us this year. We're going to Motor City Con in Detroit on November 10th, 11th, and 12th. San Francisco will be Thanksgiving weekend, and the very following weekend will be at LA Comic-Con, December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I think. And then a couple smaller shows here and there, but those are the big ones. Like we talked about earlier, Kickstarter planning for January. Issue 5, the last book, will be done end of November. And I think that's it. Thank you for letting me hang out.
Hey, thank you for coming on. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Nate.
Yeah.
Really, thanks for being on and telling us about Night of the Chihuahuas.
Right on.
Right. Hey, have a blessed one, man, and all you folks out there, be sure to check out all of Nate's stuff. And I'm gonna get with him, and we're gonna get some links. They will be in the description once this thing airs, so you can get in there and you can go right on over there and check out everything Nate's got going on. You better fucking do it. You better check it out. Once again, hey, give us a follow. If you're new, you're just jumping on, give us a follow. Sub. Tell everybody you know about the show. We're just trying to grow, just like everybody else, and we can't do that without your help. So ring that little bell so you get the notifications. So as soon as show's about to air, you get the notification. You can jump right on, and you don't miss any of this awesomeness. And give us a like. Throw a comment in there. Hey, if you don't like the fucking show, tell me. I got thick skin. Say, hey, here's what you need to be doing, because you guys are all such professionals. I don't, you tell me how to do it right. Anyway, you guys have a blessed one. One more time, thanks for being on, Nate. I really enjoyed it. You guys have a good one. Have a blessed one. Take it easy, and come back and be with us next week.